All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 11 of Market Close News, kind of a new segment here. Hope you guys are doing well. I did not expect, so I have someone walking into the office in a moment. So if I close the stream down, I will be back in a couple of moments. As we wait for Cody to get back here, we are doing some crazy things in the market, but that's not the biggest story right now. We got 40 banks disappearing in China. China on the verge of being basically collapsing. Is the communist government over with China? We will see. Give me 1 second. I just gotta let this person in because they do not want to be on camera. So I'm just gonna mute myself. All right, I am back here. I do apologize there. Kind of waiting for my dog to calm down there as he's guarding the door like a good puppy that he is, good German Shepherd. But anyway, a lot of crazy things going on, a lot of things happening in the world that's going to cause some collapse here. Oh, give me 1 more second, guys. All right. As we wait for Cody to get back on here, let me text him to let him know that we are live again here, and we're going to get to it. But we're going to go over some things in the crypto market. As you guys know, that Bitcoin is going to be released as we go from the German government, as well as the Mount Gox scenario and thing. So definitely some interesting things happening there. Sorry about that, miss here. Nvidia, $3 million investment going to fall. Hey, Nvidia is definitely looking like a good stock too. We're going to cover that in a little bit there. But as we wait for Cody to get in, because I know that he has some amazing thoughts about that as well. Here he is. Here's Cody. Hey, welcome in, Cody. Glad to
Morning,
have you
bro.
in. So didn't really get started on anything, just kind of going over what we're talking about. But as you guys enjoy this stream, if you guys can hit the like and subscribe button, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All the links are in the description. So if you guys can go there on the descriptions on YouTube, really glad to have you guys in here because as you guys know, this live is supported by you guys here. But I was just going over how we have more and more Bitcoin being released from the case in Germany and the Mt. Gox case here in the US. How that's going to get affected, but it looks like the ETFs are gobbling up all that Bitcoin and the exchanges are gobbling it all up. So it's not really affecting too much. We just kind of dropped from the high 60s to the high 50s. We did briefly a few days ago drop to 54K. That might be the new bottom for the price of Bitcoin as we move into this bull market here. So I don't think it's anything to worry. This is just kind of the summer lull. We got prices just kind of taking a hit. We got Solana went from like high 170s to 140 range. We got XRP still holding 47 cents. We got Polkadot still holding right above $6. We got Chainlink under $13. We got Litecoin under 70. We have Caspa still holding around 17 cents. It's been holding there for a while. We got Polygon back down to 50-cent range. We got Internet Computer kind of cut in half there from 14 to 7 over the last 30 days. We got Hedera down to 6 cents. It's another great one to look into. We got Cosmos for the first time in a while Very similar price to Dot. Usually Cosmos is like $2 higher. I think Dot's maybe building a little bit more value, as that might be why they're kind of catching up on prices. We have Render also in the low $6 range. And of course, we have good old Quant, as soon as we can find it here, holding the $70 range. And I don't think those prices are going to last long for Quant, guys, because I think the volume of Quant that's going to be out there is still very, very low. There's no really sell activity, and there's not a lot of buy activity. Just kind of the,
Holders
I
have
think the
gone up in
average,
the past year too.
yeah, the holders have gone up. I think the average holder is about 2 years with Quant. I think that's the average holder for Quant. So it's still a great buy, still a good thing to dollar cost average into. As you guys know, not much happening on the quant market, on the quant scenario, or on the crypto markets in general. Just kind of,
I like Injective under $20. I've been scooping up a lot of that. I'm at
oh yeah,
66. I'm at 66 INJ right now, and I've been talking about Injective for a little bit, but under $20 is a really good buy.
yes, it is definitely good at right now, 1989. As you know, Cody and I put in a long term investment into Inject.
Easy $200. My
Easy.
price prediction $200, and that's only like an $18 billion market cap as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is looking rather good, and it has a crazy run up. So if you're looking for that kind of next Quant or Solana run up, Injective might be the case for that. It's got a lot of potential. It's got a lot of
And
utility. Yeah.
60% of the supply is being staked. Like there's 93 million circulating, but there's 59 million being staked. And it has very similar tokenomics to Ethereum, like pretty much the same amount, if not just slightly less than ETH.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the major wallets do support this, as Ledger and everything else. Which by
Coinbase, all the major exchanges, like everything checks out. There's no weird unlock schedule. There's no small circulating supply compared to the max supply. Most of the supply is being staked. The transaction fees are cheap. It's on pretty much every exchange. I mean, it checks out.
Oh, absolutely. But speaking of which, let's just switch quickly over to the markets. As you guys know, Biden said this is the best time for the stock market, which is very true. It is at all-time highs, which means we're going to see some good lows coming soon. Eventually the bubble's got to
The
pop.
Dow's hitting new highs, yet a lot of truckers, have hours cut or, they're not working as much.
Oh,
And
absolutely. And layoffs are abound right now.
layoffs, but yeah, then and see, I feel like it's kind of artificial because they want to use this as a talking point. Well, the Dow Jones, look at the S&P 500.
Yes, and like we have been saying for the last year and a half, that on paper the economy is going to look good running into this election. So we're not going to see any changes unless if there's a black swan event, which, given the layout of the stock market, tends to happen either in April or October. So if we're going to have a black swan event, it's probably going to happen in October. If we have it in October, it's going to be a drastic political change. I can tell you right now, I that would be the catalyst for a four-party system here in the United States.
In
That's
six to
probably
nine months, oh, these markets will change a lot. Like, especially crypto. Like within the next 6 to 9 months, January to April, I see the whole
oh,
market's just going in an uproar. Like, there's the only
absolutely.
thing that would stop that is a black swan. That's it.
Actually, I think a black swan event in the crypto world, or not in the crypto world, I'm sorry, in the stock world, in the stock markets, would be a benefit to crypto because, unlike 2008, people now have a place to where they can pull their money out, and instead of just holding cash, they're going to funnel it into crypto because it's not tied to any government's GDP. So no matter how much, like, let's just take Coca-Cola for example. Let me just put let's just take Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola, this is their bottling, this is the bottling company. Let's just take a instance. This company relies heavily on economic trends, and the status of countries, the logistics of countries, moving stuff around, that is solely dependent on the political dynamics of the world and the economic dynamics of each country. Because if the US tanks, this is most likely they're not going to suffer and go out of business, but they will suffer a net loss in revenue, like probably like a 10, 15, or 20% downturn in revenue over the next several years. Whereas crypto, since it's not tied to directly to the economy, if you're worried about if you see rapid losses, and this could happen for the average retail investor, if they see rapid losses in their Robinhood account, their E-Trade account, or whatever stock account that they have, they're going to pull all their money out and they're going to start trying to trade crypto to get the money back. And we're going to see a rapid boom in crypto. So if we do have a black swan economic event in October, you will see in a couple months a swift uptick in crypto as people pull their money out and then throw it back into crypto, because most people operate under it's better to have your money in a market somewhere than sitting it in cash. And if they can get into crypto, they will get into crypto. And that's what might happen if we have a black swan event. Although, me personally, I don't think we're going to have a black swan event. Yes, it's unfortunate. We're getting a lot of layoffs. Cody had a friend that was working at Tyson that got laid off as a truck driver. We are seeing less and less trucks. We're still going through the Yellow bankruptcy and that company going out of business. We also have a lot of movers, and that industry is suffering immensely as people start going out of business. The only thing that's really kind of holding steady is food chain supplies. So anyone that's hauling food, freight, or like dry goods freight or produce are doing very well right now as they keep putting out more and more, as people keep buying more and more foods or just dry goods, preparing for a longer time. So like when you drop economic levels, instead of you buying like the ingredients to make your own pasta, you might buy the Great Value brand pre-made pasta and just buy it in bulk to kind of fill your pantry. So like those type of dry goods are going to see a rapid increase as we go. But I kind of want to really talk about NVIDIA here, because I know. So shout out to someone in the chat that let's see if I can get that ticker symbol right. There it is, NVDA. As you guys know, it had a 10-for-1 stock split. It's still doing very well in the last 6 months on the price, but you guys don't know the half of it. With quantum computing, the advancements of AI, it's not going to happen right away. This is like a 10, 15, 20-year long-term price target for this, but it is going to go off the rails in that time frame, because that is the direction we're moving. I already watched a segment on robotics being integrated with a chat GPT version of a learning NX AI program. So this robot can take instructions from people and decide on its own actions to do things. Now, it's a pretty cool concept. The programming is there. The actual robotic mechanics are not quite caught up there, but that is kind of the direction we're headed. And so a lot of jobs, like maybe warehouse jobs, or just, I wouldn't say moving jobs yet, or like trucking jobs, but I would say could you imagine how fast a building would be built if you have a bunch of robots that 4 of them can go pick up a steel beam, rather than having to bring in this crane, have a licensed crane operator, get all the permits, get all this? No, you just have a few robots go and lift it and move it into position for you. That would be a lot easier, more cost effective. Now, you still need someone to maintain, you still need IT people to maintain and direct that type of machinery and programming, but that is the direction that they are going in, and it's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to start first in warehouses, like shipyards, train yards, anywhere where we're just moving goods from from like the train to the warehouse to the truck, or from like truck to airplane. I can see FedEx getting involved with this. I can see UPS, DHL, Amazon's definitely putting in a huge investment into this. You got a lot of the competitors, except for a Temu. They're just browbeating people with prices. But with that saying, this is the kind of the core of that. This is what's going to make that happen. And this company is poised to make a lot of profit, as they're going to be the ones really pioneering it. And then you bring in quantum computing, which I think IBM's going to be able to build the hardware, and I think Nvidia is going to be able to make the software to run that. And I can only imagine what an AI program would be able to do with the hardware of a quantum computer. And that's going to change again. That's going to change the markets. It's going to change industry. It's going to change a lot of things. It's going to change a lot of things. So we're this company is just kind of on that precipice to get there. The only downside is, are they excuse me, are we just waiting for the valuation gain, or will we get dividends along the way? That's the key thing, because I don't think Nvidia pays any dividends yet. Oh, no. Yes, they do. They do pay a dividend of 1 cent. Okay, well, not impressive. So last time I checked, they did not pay a dividend. So now they're paying. It looks like they paid a dividend of 1 cent. So it'd be nice. So let's being a profitable tech sector with AI and all that stuff that we just talked about. Hopefully that gets to more like Coke levels or AT&T levels where we're going. But the AI is also going to have excuse me, a huge effect on the crypto markets as well. As more programming is going to be involved, we're talking development of Web3, we're talking more advanced programs, more advanced uses. So we don't know. And the one thing I can say for sure is that any crypto based ledger like XRP's ledger or XLM's or any quants or Overledger, any of that is way faster than Swift's. And if we're going to make that transition, like Elon Musk says that we should be making in the next 50 years to getting there, that's where the keystone is going to be, because Swift can't handle, if you have a mining colony out past Mars, it's going to be impossible for Swift to. You're going to have a relay system and all this other craziness, and it just wouldn't work with what they're doing, what that system is. However, with crypto, you can just put it on the blockchains, and I think XRP. I think the last time I saw it, they said theoretically XRP can get it done in 6 hours. So could you imagine? You're hundreds of thousand miles away, and in 6 hours, boom, your wallet reflects the money transfer. I just think that's pretty amazing, and that's where we're going. And probably the country that's going to lead in crypto actually being used is probably going to be India, because they're already using a mainstay form. We had a great supporter of ours back in the day. I think he goes under our tag REA, I think it is. And he's into quantum computing and all that stuff. But there they are using that to pay each other and to pay for services and doing all sorts of things, both online and in life transactions.
Remember back in 2021, we had an Indian client, and while we were moving his house, we talked about crypto.
Yes, and they are the largest population of it. Largest. They take up the bulk of the 41 million people worldwide that are using crypto. Although Venezuela is probably not far behind, and we have a few other countries that are probably going to be on it. Although, as you guys know, China is using a digital version of the yuan. It's not a central digitalized currency, but it's pretty close to what you can see what that is. And if you guys are against that, which many people in the crypto space are, that's not looking like a real, that doesn't look very good. It looks kind of dystopian to me, because if you disagree with the country's direction, they can just block out your wallet. And then you can't buy anything, you can't do anything. I don't really like that.
That's why I'll forever love Bitcoin. Like that's why I'm in alts right now to be able to buy more Bitcoin, but over time, like I'm gonna be stacking a long term Bitcoin wallet. I'm talking like for the next 10 years.
Absolutely. Speaking of Bitcoin, as you guys know, everyone's trying to make their guess as to where it's going to be. I think we have Kathy Wood saying by 2030, Bitcoin will be 3 million. I don't know about that. I would not
I
take
doubt
her
that.
word on that, as considering she lost in her fund $54 billion in 2 years. So I'm not really taking. I take that with a grain of salt. However, $100,000 Bitcoin before the end of this year is highly possible, especially after the government's from the Mount Gox scam issue, and the other one that happened in Germany. That was an actual Ponzi scheme that had all that Bitcoin. After that all gets distributed out and taken care of, I have a feeling trading will go back to normal, if not higher. Retail investors are going to be looking for a way to make more money on their sitting
You
cash.
know, we're still in the
And
bull market support band, even at 57K. We're
oh,
still in the
absolutely.
bullish zone.
Oh, absolutely. Let's just take a look at it over 1 year period. I mean, you look at it one, and you can see right here on the screen, right? You can see exactly what happened. They filed for BlackRock files, iShares files for spot Bitcoin. There's the FTX debacle. Then we have more ETFs approved, and slowly but surely we started climbing. And yeah, right here, one of the world's largest pensions. So it had to have been, I think it's Fidelity or one of them, Vanguard, that might have a stake in it as well, 5% stake in there, which is a lot of chunk of change for a $3 million fund, or $3 trillion fund. So in just the last year, you pretty much doubled the money on. So if you were just holding Bitcoin over last year, you doubled your money in this, and this is just from the hype around the ETFs, the liquidation of like FTX, Celsius, Voyager. All of them are going, and it's just rather it seems like it's not going anywhere if you watch it day to day. But when you start looking at it over a year period, you start to see that it's going in an upward trend from where it was last year, which is kind of crazy, because if we break this down and we go back to from July, instead of doing July 2023 to now, we do July 2022 to July 2023, it would look vastly different. It would be at around 28,000, dropping to 16, and then kind of climbing its way back up. And even though it doesn't seem like right now this might that you might be missing a boat, trust me, this is probably the new support level, where it's hitting the in the 50,000s range. And if you're dollar cost averaging on a set schedule, you'll probably make out if you're trying to go through this bull run, through the next bear market, and into the next bull run. So, I mean, if you might have missed out on this bull run if you haven't been dollar cost averaging over the last 3 years, but that's okay. The point now is to plan for the next bear market, which will happen, because the bull market happens kind of hard and fast, and it's gone. And then the next one is then we're in for like a 3-4 year bear market till we get to the next bull run. But I do feel like this is going to be the last bull run where it's tied to the cycles of crypto. I think that going forward from this, with such a large influx of people, it will start behaving more like the stock market and more like the forex trading markets where you have volatility, but nowhere near what it is now. Like you can't wake up and be up 10% in 24 hours you're down 10% and you're going back and forth kind of deal. It's still a good time. You're not really missing out on a lot. So, just understand that. Just make sure you have a plan going into the bull run, a plan going into the bear run, and a plan going into the next bull run. But I would always recommend that you make sure that you have your emergency savings set. You have your 401ks and everything set, not like set up, but like you've been putting into them for a while. Now that you have money that you can afford to lose and not worry about, then let's get into crypto. But if you got a family, you got bills, you got a mortgage, risking it all on crypto is not the best thing to do, especially right now. Because as we get into this next bull market, or really into this next really hyped bull run, there are going to be scams and scams and scams. And even some of the old scams are being rekindled now. So just be prepared for that. Just be ready. People are going to be scamming. I know you guys have been watching YouTube. Shout out to CoffeeZilla for calling out what was his name? Boogie, whatever his name is. For doing a crypto scam. So
What, the big guy, Boogie?
yes,
He did a crypto scam. That doesn't surprise me.
yeah, for $5,000. So I'm telling you right now,
5K.
only 5K apparently. I don't know. I didn't really watch it, so there's a lot of videos on it. I'm not really watching that kind of stuff, or if I do, I'm not really paying attention to it. Kind of in the background as I'm doing something else. But I do want to say that you just got to be careful because these scams are coming. I mean, I was on a live stream, shout out with Crypto Granny. If you want to go follow her, she's on TikTok. But they were going through on the late night crypto stream when we do that every night. If you want the Discord link, I can definitely get in touch with the one of the moderators there and give that to you, as I'm kind of a speaker over there occasionally because I can't be up till 2 o'clock in the morning talking about crypto. But it is
Have they ever mentioned one of the ones we've held?
other than XRP, a little bit of quant talk. Mostly they do a lot of developer talk about how to make projects on crypto blockchains and stuff like that. They really try to educate people on how to actually work in crypto, not like invest in it, not just investing in it, but actually building utility on these blockchains and projects, how to basically start becoming an entry level developer, things like that. But one guy did show how there was a coin, I think it was called a stash coin or something like that. Like one big celebrity was releasing one, and there was like 190 fake scam tokens on that day of release that look very similar to it, like the symbol and everything and all that stuff. And that's how, and they were, you could see the liquidity happen and get cashed out. It was crazy. I saw how to track scams in real time. It was crazy. And I just want to tell you guys, because there's no regulation in crypto, so they can put the same picture symbol on everything, and you wouldn't know. And you might be putting your money into the wrong crypto, and you just became liquidity for someone else, for the scammer to get their money, and then you're stuck and you lost everything. So just be very careful. Make sure you do your research. Make sure you do your due diligence on that, because it's very, very important that you make sure you don't put the money in the wrong place. That's why I say don't invest moonshot your life savings into crypto, especially if you have obligations like family, kids, mortgage, car loans, debt to pay off, because if you lose your money, there's no agency, there's nothing to help you. That's the part where I say I want regulation in crypto, because if you had a regulated stock exchange, they could not make the same symbols, nor pictures, nor logos, or anything. And everything has to be properly underwritten by a third party and then verified by another party from like one of the top 6 accounting firms. So that helps gives you a level of security, and it's backed by the government. So that level of security also is traceable, and the government can get your money back in full. So, like, people who suffered from Bernie Madoff, if they directly invested with him, they probably lost their money, which many people did. But if you were in if your 401k manager invested money into Bernie Madoff, then you got all your money back, and you might not even notice that you were involved in that. So that's why I want some regulation to happen. But speaking of banks, regulations, and everything, let's go over here, talk about the 40 banks that shut down and disappear in China. 40 banks, and one of the top 3 largest banks in China just went gone. I mean, the video I saw, and I can't seem to find the video again, because I could tell you right now that I saw it and I can't ever find it again. So you're probably not going to find much information about this, as China is very good at keeping it or getting it off the internet. But there was one video where you saw at least 30 or 40,000 people storming the bank headquarters, throwing rocks, boulders, whatever, like they could team lift, carry, or anything into it. They were just destroying that building, and they had lost all their money. It was gone. The government wasn't doing anything for them. It was just total chaos, and people were upset because not only was their money gone, but also, they lost the rights to the mortgages they had, which were, they don't really have mortgages. They have what's called property rights, where you get like a 99-year lease, and that's what you get. You lease the land from the government. I don't like that. That is a terrible idea. But anyway, they pay the government, they're paying their taxes, they're paying everything, and they don't even have a house to live in. It's not been built. And none of them nobody knows where all this money went. I mean, we're not talking like a couple $100 billion. We're talking like, I think this bank was like $2 to $3 trillion worth of money, just poof, gone. And now, you have lenders disappearing, you have financial institutions disappearing. Yeah, and on top of that, prior to this, there's always these little rumors about billionaires disappearing and stuff like that. It's not looking for good in China. And the main problem, well, not problem, not really problem for us, but the next big thing is, how is the world's economy and our economy going to hold up if there's a revolution in China? Because if there's a revolution in China, and most of the production for the world for material goods comes from China, that slowdown it's going to be worse than COVID, because you don't know when the civil unrest is going to end. Because if it does go to the point where it's civil war, or civilian uprising, things like that, we don't know how long that's going to take. Because after the civilian uprising, and let's say they were successful and the government collapses, it's going to be a while before a new government gets put in place, because then you got different parties, dissenting parties, other things happening, and it could divulge into like warlords for a little bit. You might see like another 30, 40, 50 years of political unrest and turmoil in that country, and then what are we going to do? So, and then people are going to have to rush to other countries or other areas, or maybe back to the US, to start manufacturing you know doing the normal manufacturing, trying to get the goods there. Meanwhile, we got Gen Z and millennials turning into minimalists, as they're not consuming material goods as much. They're consuming more materialistic, not materialistic, I'm sorry. They're consuming more experience, more of the experience side of the economy. So, like traveling, events, music, festivals, things like that. They're not really too worried about getting the next, having nice furniture. They'll have what they think is aesthetically pleasing, get it from IKEA, and then kind of move on with their life. So that's also going to hit probably at the same time as this happens. Although it may finally put people talking about communism down for a while, because this will be the largest communist country that was communist for the longest time going down. Although communism is loosely put on them, it's more of a dictatorship with a handful of people making decisions for everybody. So, will this affect U.S. banks? Probably a little bit, not much. The people who will get affected are like BlackRock, the big investment firms, Fidelity, Vanguard, because a lot of the wealthy Chinese clients that they have worked hard over the last 30 years getting are going to disappear, because the money's going to disappear. It's going to be worthless. And that whole branch is over there. They're just going to get shut down. They're just going to chop it off, and they're going to cut their losses and move on with their life. And they, if anything, they probably are paying insurance in case that happens. They're going to get paid back on it. So, but it is interesting to see how this is going to play out, because this is now happening right around our election. Like China is all of a sudden having turmoil, like starting to have these weird events happen right when we're leading up to the election. So I know people keep saying China invading Taiwan is a threat. It doesn't look like it's a threat now. If your people are willing to smash up your quasi government companies and have no regards for the punishment that China has threatened them with. So it seems like it's kind of coming to that boil. It's like the pots, like it's a pot of rice boiling, and the bubbles are starting to form. You can see it's about ready to spill over, but it hasn't yet. There's still like something very thin holding it back, like you put that wooden spoon on to hold back the bubbles. It ha it it hasn't hit the critical part mass yet, but it's going to happen at some point. It's going to happen, and I foresee a lot of these people. If that does happen, you can bet your bottom dollar that China is going to be the number one user of any crypto and crypto platforms, because at some way they're going to have a level of exchange and currency. Since nobody has gold anymore, like physical gold in their hands, they're going to have to go to crypto, probably Bitcoin, Ethereum. That might be the lifesaver for Solana, XRP. They're going to have to go to something that has a stable enough value that can support economic transactions, which will most likely be Bitcoin or Ethereum. So that's just a kind of a thought I had, because as I was reading all these articles about banks disappearing and shutting down in China. So, and this may be the end. Will be the first time in my lifetime that a big country just went out, just disappeared overnight. So, but speaking of Asian markets, Cody and I have been talking about this for a little bit here. Toyota is doing very, very well, despite all the massive recalls and the engine issues. I think the engine issues were with the Highlander and the Forerunner, and 2019 to 2020 Tacomas, if I'm not mistaken, but got resolved. And just like their cars, they just keep putting along, right? So if we look at the stock over just a year period, it doesn't look too promising because we're kind of it just came down off of its all-time high, created a new all-time high, and looks like it should be going down again. But if I go to the max, right, and you can see from the early 80s when the stock was first initially made public, the steady rise of this. And if you look, even though it went down, it's kind of the same right around here. Went down, went back up, went down again, kind of the same level. Thought it would keep going down and went back up. So it might dip to somewhere like around 150, but it's going to go past that and probably exceed its all-time high of 255. And the reason is because they're producing efficient hybrids. They have the Prius, right? It's a quirky car. It's not a car that Americans are into. However, it's very efficient, easily to maintenance. The battery replacement cost is a hell of a lot cheaper than a Tesla. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, doesn't have that enormous touchscreen, doesn't have the self-driving, but it gets you to your destination, has air conditioning, and is fuel efficient. Average Prius owner spends really about one tank of gas per month, whereas most people do 1 to 2 fill ups a week. And for people right now, when they're trying to cut their budget, going from spending $2,500 to $3,000 a year on fuel down to maybe spending 300 to 400 a year is a significant savings. And that's what you guys gotta understand. That's how most middle class families do their budget. They're not really thinking in a month to month term. They're really thinking in a year term. So they see their income for the year, they see their assets for the year. They see their liabilities for the year, and they're saying, okay, if I get this car, it's going to cost me an average of X amount of dollars. How can I find a car that can give me less X amount of dollars to spend on fuel per year and less maintenance? And that's where Toyota comes in. And Toyotas are designed to be maintained improperly. That's why they're doing so well. I mean, you guys know the joke. It's 500,000 miles, same transmission fluid, same oil in there, but the Camry keeps on going. Doesn't know the meaning of the word of the bell being rung. It just keeps on going, and that's why. And to be quite frank, that's why you see in a lot of third world countries, you see a lot of Toyotas because they can work in those environments. They just keep running despite, and they know when they built a car for people who might be struggling a little bit. If you need to run the car an extra couple months without getting that oil change, you can. You can kind of run it a little bit more without changing the transmission fluid. They even fixed a timing belt issue where at every 72,000 miles, that timing belt would break. They fixed that and patented and made their own change system. Now you don't even have to replace that. So they did a lot of work on their vehicles, a lot of work. And the value doesn't even reflect how powerful and useful these vehicles are. And given the economy and where we're switching to, I have a feeling the Toyota Tacoma is going to flip the F-150 because the F-150, while it's a great truck, has a great brand, has great customer loyalty, and also a lot of companies use them as work
Ford is
trucks.
going through a lot with their used
Yes,
vehicles. They can't sell them really.
yes, because they're too damn expensive. And here it is, you can get a Tacoma, has all the same capabilities as that F-150, and you're saving $40,000-$50,000 compared to the F-150. I think the average F-150 can go for now what most people buy. Like I think it's the Lariat edition or whatever, the F-150 Lariat, about 77,000. I think at the height during the pandemic, it was like 92,000 for that vehicle. Now you're talking about I can go get a Tacoma, better engine, better maintenance, cheaper maintenance, can work not on the tires assigned to it, but on any other tires, a lot of other common used tires for that size truck. So like the Ford F-150 has to have can work with a few different tires, but can't really work on off-brand foreign tires. You kind of have to use Goodyear or Michelin. No, this can run on it pretty much anything you want. It can take up to 18% ethanol. I'm telling you, people are going to switch to the Tacoma in droves. And once they realize there's really not that much difference, and that's a truck designed for utility and saving their customers money. Once people realize that, Toyota's going to go through the roof. And their luxury brand Lexus is producing some better and better and better cars. I mean, they are keeping up with the styles, keeping up with the luxury, and keeping up with kind of being that luxury value, that luxury style with a value price. So you can get like a nice Lexus for 2/3 the price of a Mercedes. And that will fit for people who want luxury but don't want to pay like
And
$100,000.
way more reliable.
Yeah, and way more reliable, less maintenance on it. I mean, the maintenance on the average maintenance for a Mercedes or BMW, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000. For a Lexus, you're looking at a yearly maintenance of $1,200. And once again, you is compatible with other foreign branded tires, which is very important. So I see this doing very 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 well over the next 5 years, especially when more and more people are going to get accustomed to we're going to get accustomed to understanding how valuable owning a Toyota will be, and that they're starting to aesthetically please more Americans. Like the style's on point with what Americans want. The only thing is just that there it's not a statement piece. So and like younger millennials and Gen Zers, when they want their car, they kind of want the car to be a statement, which is really weird, guys, because a statement making your vehicle be a statement piece is kind of irrelevant because after 11 seconds, people forget what car you were driving. Unless if they were talking to you for several hours and buy your car, they're most likely going to forget what car you drive. So, but I mean that's all that's really happening in the market. So and there really isn't like we said, Walmart's kind of the key thing there to invest. If you're like looking for a recession businesses, you got Walmart, Costco, Target. You got Dollar General that's making some good moves, filling in the spots where oldies won't go. Walmarts are closing up. The Dollar General fresh markets are entering those areas, and they're making a lot of money. A lot of money in there. You got Ford having its issues, so Toyota could capture a lot of market cap. You got GM, General Motors, not really listening to their clients. You have the EV vehicles are not selling because they're just too fancy and expensive for people. And you have banks not lending out auto loans, and we've had quite a few we had quite a few people are being repossessed. Their vehicles are falling into repossession, which we have a lot of dealerships getting in trouble with their lot loans and falling behind on those. So that bubble still has not popped yet, as we're still riding the summer wave. Uh, from tax refund season and things like that is still riding. So, but as we get closer and those student loans start kicking in, I I foresee way more repossessions and a drastic slowdown in the amount of car sales volumes. And I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing some major resellers like CarMax, Carvana, or even some of the bigger dealerships like Henderson Dealership Company starting to feel the pressure, maybe even go out of business. And like I said, it all ties into crypto. And of course, the only people that are going to stick out like a sore thumb are going to be the scammers, because they're going to be the ones sucking whatever money they can out of the people who have no money, and trying to sell that hopium. And believe it or not, guys, if there's anything that could happen, we want the normal recession, crash, reset, climb. We want that. The one true danger about this economy is that we could enter into stagflation, where we have a lot of jobs. A lot of people have a job. Most people have a job that they're either overqualified for, like someone who used to code, do JavaScript or coding for a tech firm, now is working Uber Eats and at McDonald's or something. Or we have a lot of people who are working government jobs, as government is about 2 to 3 years behind. So if we do have a crash, it'll be 2 years later that the government's like, whoa, we can't hire anybody, because they can only go off of a budget 2 years ago that they've planned for this year. So like 2024's budget was planned in 2022 based off of revenue in 2021. So to right now, to most government officials, it's like, what do you mean? We're still collecting good taxes. You guys got to remember that most humans, we can't see past what's in front of us sometimes. And we can't see that, okay, we're good now, but in the future we're going to be bad. And we don't want to be bad. We want to get a handle of this budget right now. No one really thinks about that. It's like, oh, the system's flush with cash, keep doing projects. It's when the system's not flush with cash, they go, oh crap, we got to start cutting government jobs, laying the people off that we need to, things like that. But as we go, truck drivers are still getting laid off. You got warehouses closing down. Tyson, Cargill, and what was the other chicken one? George's Chicken have figured out how to run their chicken plants with 70% less staff. You have Amazon trying to replace a lot of the menial jobs with robots, with one way or another. We also have AI taking over some repetitive jobs that would be low entry level pay, or would be the internship opportunity for college kids, like secretary jobs, scheduling jobs, revamping advertising, making words better, things like that. You used to have to pay someone who was really good at it. Now you don't have to do it. So it's as far as layoffs, we're just going to keep seeing them roll around. Now, I'm not taking the layoffs in the tech sector as any real big deal, because a lot of the tech sector were zombie companies where they were only being sustained off of venture capital and private equity loans. And since those are drying up, any of the companies that weren't really valuable but might had a shot now no longer are going to go to the wayside. Like, think of the .com bubble, like you had pets.com, things like that just disappeared because they were not viable through that. So you're going to see those zombie companies disappear. If anything, you're going to see some new segments of industry start popping up, like Web3, crypto world. I mean, if you're in tech and you got laid off, you can still get the same quality salary from a crypto company, because venture capital is still pushing money into crypto projects a lot, and they've increased. I think Cody sent me a text on that. They increased by. I have to see. Let me just see here, because send me a graph on that. I don't know how long ago it was, but venture capital is still being pushed into crypto. So, I mean, we're kind of. I know the summer lull's hitting, and and also the economy's hitting. Inflation's going down, but still not down fast enough. Rent's not going down. And to be honest, guys, with rent, it's probably not going to go down because a lot of the landlords, especially some of like the people who tried to become a landlord through debt acquisition, they are forcing that APY onto the tenants because that's the only way they're ever going to keep that. And unfortunately, just like any other graph, it's going to rise like like the cosine coefficient is going to go up and then down. And it's going to drop below and then kind of come back up. And unfortunately, when the landlord gets foreclosed on, the tenant gets evicted. So if you guys are in that situation, definitely want to talk to a business law attorney and someone who's proficient in landlord and real estate law, and see how you can help mitigate that for you guys. Because once the bank takes ownership of it, you got to get out. Like, because there's no telling who it's getting sold to, what's going to happen with the property. It's not like they took from one small landlord and sold it to another small landlord and you got to stay in. That might be like a 1% chance. For the most part, it would just be like it would just be liquidated out and all the tenants would be evicted. Now, if you're in like a major apartment complex, you don't have to worry about that because what will happen is if they can't pay the mortgage, their commercial mortgage on the property and all the construction loans, and you're in the property, all it's going to do is it's going to go to a trustee. It's going to go into a foreclosure process. It's going to get sold. All that you're going to see is that, hey, we're the new management company. Pay here instead of here. But you'll have a court trustee appointed that's going to collect all the funds, put them all into a bucket, and wait for the bank to take full possession, or the new tenant takes full possession, and then all those payments go, or new landlord takes possession. So if you're in a big apartment complex, you don't have to worry too much about. So if you happen to be, because I saw my old apartment complex I was living in like 3 years ago, um, before before I moved out, they had a public sale auction on there, which doesn't mean that everyone got evicted. It just means that the management company had to leave the premises and a new one had to be put in. And a new one got put in after the auction, whoever bought it. So if you're in that big, if you're in a big apartment complex that's managed by a big company, you don't have to worry too much. Start worrying when they're not fixing stuff. But other than that, I don't have anything else to talk about. Cody, did you have any topics you wanted to kind of touch before we head out of here? I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I was trying to unmute myself. No, not really.
Okay, well, we'll have to see you guys. We're going to take. I know it's been a while, but we won't have any lives tomorrow. I do apologize because we've been busy, just busy nonstop with the moving company. So I've been out on the road like I was today. Hopefully, I can get to a point where I can do morning lives soon, especially as we get closer to the election, and we can get back to our 2 lives a day schedule. But as you guys know, Cody took a new position, and he's making quite a bit of change with that new position, but he is trying to suck up all that overtime. And let me just talk about this topic real quick. Because I know I see a lot of videos on my For You page on TikTok and in YouTube and stuff like that, right? About a lot of Gen Zers and millennials saying, I don't feel like I have to work. I want to enjoy my life. I want this. I want that. I could tell you this right now. If you're 18 or just graduated college at 21 or 22, if you work and you work hard and you save and invest everything, because by the time you hit 35, 40, you're going to be at the top of the new economy, and you might be able to cash out and go to a more conservative interest-based route, so that way you don't have to work. And you're 40 is still young. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm 40. It doesn't bother me. Like, I just wish I did more in my 20s. So, don't want to be like me. Don't want to be like some of the people that we see come through the doors that they're 55, 60, have to work till they die. You don't want to do that. And if you're unsure about finances, don't feel bad. Go find a financial advisor. They do 99% of them do free consultations for you just to sit down, make a game plan. I mean, you can go to Northwest Pacific Mutual. Edward Jones is not a good one, but they kind of help you. I would recommend Northwest Pacific Mutual because they'll want all the information they can from you, and then when you come for that free consultation, they will show you where you want to be and all the steps that you have to take there for free. And they could tell you, and they can answer all your questions, the difference between a 401k and a Roth IRA. Are there any different but beneficial programs that you can invest in? Things like that. And of course, the benefits of their particular funds, your risk level tolerance, things like that. And when do you want to retire? Because if you say, like, well, if you're 20 and you say, I want to retire at 40, they will give you a roadmap to follow. And if you agree to it and you want to follow it with them and let them and go through the yearly milestones, you're going to have to pay the management fees, but it's nominal. I can't even talk. I don't sound tired. But they're very small management fees. I think it's like less than 1% for that management fee, and it's even free up to $250,000 to manage your money as long as you're following their path. Because you're following their path, you're investing with them for 20 years, and guess what? They take you from your 20s all the way to your sunset years, and they will plan with you every step of the way. Every financial advisor will do so, but definitely make sure when you are looking for a financial advisor that you find their license via the state and the SEC. You make sure you verify their credentials, their college degree, and their client list. And you can do that easily with FINRA and the SEC and the DDTC, the deposit certificate. I forget. It's like a DTC, deposit transmission company, I think it is, and they can verify all that for you. So that's all I gotta say. If you guys can like the lives, hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna try and post more shorts. We're also gonna try and do some more things for you guys. We also might be setting up like a monthly podcast, like Cody and I, once we can figure out a schedule and get that aligned. Because Cody can't set dates as easily as I can. So we'll have to see. It is the busy season, so we might start that up maybe after August, but it's going to be pretty cool. I don't want to really kind of spoil it too much for you guys because it's going to be a very professional setup. It's going to be very nice. We're doing a great partnership, and hopefully we can take the channel to the next level for you guys and bring some new stuff for our old supporters and bring in some new supporters. As you guys know, Cody and I just love talking about this and everything. I love talking about crypto, business, finance, economy, all that stuff. And we are still working out some topics for it, but it's going to be good. It is definitely going to be good. So, but with that being said, I'm going to log off here for tonight because it is getting late, and I'll check you guys later. We will have some videos coming out that I'm going to be making tomorrow, but we will be live on Sunday morning for you guys. So look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. Like and subscribe. If you guys want to see all the replays of all the content, it's on there. If you guys want to see all the exclusive content, it is on Patreon, and the link's down below. So look forward to seeing you guys on the next live. Thank you all for your support. Hope you have a great evening and stay safe out there, and don't moonshot your life savings. Never